Okay, Jets draft. I actually find this to be a very compelling draft that the Jets had. The Jets sometimes have compelling drafts for the wrong reasons. I don't know if I would say it's for the wrong reasons this time. Some very interesting picks. So let's talk about it. First, I gotta explain the chart next to me. What you see is where the player was selected is the first number, then the player, their position, and finally where they were projected to be selected via the consensus big board. The first and most important pick of this draft is their number 7 overall selection when they select Ahmad Membo, who could be a really good right tackle for them for years to come, I think. You put him, across from Alu Fashanu, and this just should help out the pass protecting situation for whoever ultimately ends up being the quarterback. As of right now, it is Fields, who is the guy. Again, how long would it last? I don't know, but hey, while they didn't draft a quarterback in this draft class, so you at least get that situation going, which is, I guess good for Fields. And again, it kind of shows maybe they're going with the Lions mentality of let's really get the offensive line under control. Let's not worry about a franchise savior quarterback coming in. Let's just focus on getting better and improving, and we'll see how well it works out. They then selected Mason Taylor, the tight end, who is someone who, listen, the size and the athleticism is fantastic. So I bet that there's some really good highlight reels that maybe would get you excited if you're a Jets fan. Ultimately, I don't know how explosive he is, and quite frankly, he's just, I have in my notes, he's not good at football, which is something that's an issue if you are here to play football. He's not there yet. He is a 20-year-old prospect who is very much a project. Because of that, I was kind of lower on him than others, but there are people who really like him because he does have that high ceiling of being a, 6'5", 255 guy who could be a great blocker, who can also run routes well if you can unleash his potential. So we'll see. There's a chance that this ends up being a great selection. There's also a chance that it doesn't. So bit of a risk here, I would say, at pick 42. But hey, if you're the Jets, you're the kind of team that should be taking risk, right? You're trying to get a core, of great players, and maybe taking some swings on guys who have a chance to be great. Not the worst idea in the world. So yeah, no real issue with that one. We didn't have Azareye'h Thomas, the Florida State player, another 20-year-old player. So getting some young players, that's always good. You want to have younger players because just traditionally, if they're a bit raw at 20, well, then that is kind of more forgivable than if they're 24 and raw, right? I wouldn't say he's raw. He could be a very good zone corner for them. Breaks in very well. I don't know if he has the speed to work as a man corner. And again, I think the Jets will want to do a lot of different things this upcoming year. So, a 4.58 for a corner, sometimes that's a death sentence. It just is. I know speed shouldn't be everything. 40 time is not game time, but ultimately he is a slower corner, and just logically that's an issue, right? Because as a receiver, there's a lot of ways you can get open, but for a corner, if you get a little out of position, your speed can allow you to come back. If you're a fast corner, you can make it work. For Thomas, he pretty much has to be perfect every step of the way. Doesn't mean he can't be good, but just he has less of, he needs to be better in other areas than other corners do, which is ultimately why he fell. I have to say, though, okay, listen, he was projected to go 52nd. I totally get why he was projected to go there. Falling to 73, this just feels like good value. So even if you don't love him and feel like the speed is an issue, he breaks in really well. There's a lot of good aspects of his game. He does have good footwork. I'm assuming the speed is what caused him to fall, but I don't know. For 73, this feels like good value. I think he could work out. So yeah, I'm a fan of this pick, even if I'm not crazy about the player. I think it's good value. Then Arian Smith, the wide receiver out of Georgia, who is this is the combine guy, right? This is the guy who is a great athlete at 6 feet tall, 185. So not a huge guy, but ran a 4.3. And definitely has really good shiftiness as well. Just didn't really put it all together and hasn't played a ton of football. So another guy that projected to be undrafted, they take him at 110. That is a quote unquote reach, but ultimately, if they can get him to reach his potential, then they will feel pretty good about it. They then decided to go the other route with Malachi Moore, a safety who you wonder if he's going to be maybe a slot corner or what exactly the plan is, because he played slot, he played free safety, so played a lot of different things for Alabama. And hey, coming from an SEC school, you do like that. had production, was a good player for Alabama last year. Now, he was a good player when he was 23 years old. And again, it's just the logic of, if a 20-year-old is great, well, then they could be even better when they're 23. If you weren't as good and kind of slowly got better and finally reached your, ceiling at 23, okay, there's a reason why you weren't drafted when you were, there's a reason why you wouldn't have been drafted after when you were 21, right? Whereas some other guys would. That being said, again, he's going 130 here. So we're not talking about spending premium picks on these guys. And so I think for this, again, will he be more than a depth piece? We'll have to see. He is not an elite athlete, so we'll have to see. But I still think that, getting good players at this point in the draft is usually a good sign, and we'll see if he can. Find a way into this, into getting some playing time. You have Andre Cisco, you have Tony Adams. I don't know if they're going to try and get him as a starter, but hey, if he has to be, maybe he can come in and do some stuff. They then at pick 162 selected a linebacker, Francisco Mauigoa. That was not even close to saying a name correctly. I apologize, Francisco. Doing my best here with some of these names. Player out of Alabama who 6'3", 230 is a run defender through and through. A guy who's going to, make a real effort to try and, stop the run, and then hopefully it's not a passing play, and hopefully you can recover. Hopefully your defensive backs behind you make a play work. He was really projected to just be a special teams guy, so I am interested in, at pick 162, now granted, the Jets, the way things ended up, they didn't have a pick after 176, so maybe they were willing to take a special teams guy earlier. I don't know though. It's a bit of a surprise here that he goes, but again, a player who maybe has potential to be a starter or to be a player at some point, but also should play good special teams. I guess there is value in that, so I can understand why the Jets are willing to grab a guy like that. And they decide to take his teammate Tyler Barron here, which that's got to be fun if you're one of your teammates joins you with at the NFL. A pretty good edge rusher at Miami. Nothing spectacular, but rush the passer pretty well. I think that he is someone who you could see a scenario where he finds his way, I'm not going to say as a starter, but finds his way to getting some reps here, as I do think this is a bit of a weak edge room, especially in terms of depth. So getting someone who can, come in and the way the Jets ideally, I think the way they want to build this defensive line is by having several guys who can come in and play. I think Tyler Barron could actually end up being a contributor for this team. So for pick 176, that's pretty good. You like that. So yeah, as a whole, I would say a pretty solid draft from the Jets. Not every pick I was crazy about, but even the picks I'm not crazy about would tend to be pretty good value, and I understand the logic behind it. One or two I probably wouldn't have made, but ultimately as a whole, I'm never going to agree with every pick. Seems like they got some good players and should be able to continue to move in the right direction here in a new era. So yeah, ultimately, those are my thoughts on the Jets in their draft. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.